warm up today, we are doing A. Which one doesn't belong? In your notebook, you're writing A, B, C, or D, and one sentence with a reason why.
How are we supposed to know it doesn't belong?
That's totally up to you. Your job is to find out which one you think doesn't belong.
Are we supposed to solve it?
No, you can if you want. But which one out of these four just looks different than the rest? All right, take 30 more seconds. All right, turn and talk to the person next to you. What did you write and what did they write and why?
Oh no.
I said it's D.
I said D.
What did you guys do? D. Oh, I hear consensus. Raise your hand if you chose A. B, C, and D. Okay, so we have a few C and a few D. Why, Fatima, why did you choose C?
Because it's the only one with the -5, and I feel like if we solve it, the answers would be like completely different ways.
Oh, I like it. Because there's a negative in front of our coefficient or variable. We think that maybe the answers to it would be different. Love it. Love that. All right, D. Who chose D? Why did you choose D?
Because the top equation is the only one without no original variable.
Love it. So it looks a little messier. It looks a little different. Nice. All right, let's continue. So what was the method that we learned last week?
Substitution.
Substitution. So let's practice it before moving on to a new method. What do we do when there's a y equals -5x minus 17? What are we doing with that? Yeah.
Wait, what did you say?
What are we doing with this y equals to -5x minus 17? What's the key word of this method?
Substitute.
Substitute. So let's substitute it in. We see how y is by itself. We're going to plug it in for y. So we're going to rewrite. There's no y here, -3. What am I plugging in for y? What's right next to y?
-5.
Negative 5x.
-5x. What else is in there?
17.
Minus 17. And then bring down the 3. Rosemary, what property are we going to be using when we have these parentheses? Distribution. So we bring down the -3x. What is -3 times -5x?
Positive 15.
15x.
Beautiful. What is -3 times -17? Use a calculator if you have to.
Right, 51. Positive 51.
Positive. Why is it positive 51 and not negative?
That's 2 negative, make it positive.
Am I done? Do I have what my x is equal to?
No.
Not at all. What do I have to do next? What's my next step?
Like terms.
Add like terms. What are my like terms?
Negative 3x, negative
Amazing. What is
15.
-3? Yeah, you know. What is -3 plus 15? Kate. -3 plus 15. Hmm? 12. Yep. And then we have to bring down our 51 and our 3. is our next step? How are we gonna get our x? Beautiful. Subtract 51 on both sides. I love how you said that. What is 3 minus 51?
48, 49,
Which one do you think?
48,
Negative or positive?
negative.
Why?
Negative and positive give you a negative.
Because 3 is a very small number and 51 is a very large number. So if we're subtracting them, we're just getting smaller. Now, what's my last step?
Divide by 12.
Divide by 12 on both sides. What is negative 48 divided by 12?
Wait. Negative 4.
Negative 4. So we have what our x equals to. Are we done?
No,
Why? What else do we need?
we need the y.
We need the y. How do we solve for the y?
You substitute.
Substitute it back. Let's see. Daisha, 1 or 2? Which one do you like better? Which equation? 1. So let's plug in negative 4 for 1. For x. Solve it in your notebooks and we'll come back together. Do you calculate it?
I'm done.
Amazing. Ready to start the class with what you did? Are you going to walk us through it?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I distributed, I multiplied negative 3 times negative 4. And I got 12, because 2 negatives can be a positive. Minus 3y equal to 3. Then I subtracted 12 by 12. And I subtracted 3 by 12. And I got negative 9. 3y equal to negative 9. And then I divided negative 3 by negative 3y. And negative 9 by negative 3. And I got a positive 3 plus 2 negatives give you positive.
Amazing. Thank you. Do you remember how I wanted you to write the answer? How me and my friend Regents?
Like this, like.
Yeah, what's that called? Do you remember?
Like when you put it, before you put it on the line, I forgot what it's called. Ordered pair?
Yes, exactly what it's called. So what is our x value?
Negative 4,
What's our y value?
3.
And this is what you call an ordered pair. X and then y.
That's the bathroom, please.
Yes, take my pass. So the Regents wants you to let them know that you know that it's a coordinate point. It's not just values, it's a coordinate point. So remember last week how we did graphing? We found a point of intersection. That's exactly what we're doing. But instead of graphing, what method are we using? Substitution. All right, for your homework, you have a Delta Math assignment. If you are having trouble with internet at home or with using Delta Math at all, you could come talk to me after school, but in the meantime, take a printed out homework version, which is always going to be in the white bin. Today we're going to do warm-up, the introduction to elimination. I'm going to give you a worksheet on it, and then we're going to do a cool down so I can check in with what you know. All right, this is review. You do not need to write this down. I want to check in with our understanding. if we're going from one equation to another, there needs to be a scale factor for it to be true. Like we talked about last week, we get a lot with the number 2. So how do we get from 2 to 4? What do we multiply by? 2. What about 5 to 10? What about 4 to 8? So the scale factor here is amazing. Let's try it this way too. 2 to negative 2. Negative 1.
Oh.
If it's staying the same number, remember 1 times anything is anything. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 6 is 6. What about 5 to negative 5? What do we multiply by? Negative 1. And the last time, 4 to negative 4y
Negative 1.
times negative 1. Scale factor there is
Negative 1.
negative 1. Beautiful. So I'm going to hand you your worksheet for today, which is practically just a guided note. We're going to go through it together. Take one, pass it. All right, it's day 2. Welcome to day 2 of this week. What is our method? Instead of substitution, what's on the top of our paper? Elimination. We're going to skip that first question, and we're going to go right to how we could define elimination. If we're playing a tournament and a team is eliminated, are they staying or are they leaving? They're leaving. So how we're going to define it is getting rid of, or sending out, right? Getting rid. What do we call A, B, X, Y, Z, R? Variables. Getting rid of a variable. So we could solve for the other. So what variables do we usually have in the equations?
X, Y.
X and Y. So in order to solve for X, maybe we have to get rid of the Y's. So then instead of substituting in a variable like we did before, we're just going to eliminate it. And we're not going to have it exist anymore. Now, 2 really important vocab terms are coefficient and factor. Do we know what a coefficient is?
Like the number of variables.
I love it. If there's a number in front of a variable, what operation is going on there?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. Beautiful. Number multiplied by variable. Now what's the other term on our papers?
Factor.
Factor. We've talked a lot about factors today. We said there was 2, there was -1. What was that operation that we were using with that 2 and -1? Were we adding it, subtracting it, multiplying it? So when we're talking about factors and elimination, it's whatever's the multiplier. If I'm multiplying by 2, the multiplier is 2. Okay. All right. On the bottom of your page is practice problems for coefficients. So who could tell me the definition of coefficient again? It's on your paper. Go ahead, Bashir.
Number multiplied by variable.
The number multiplied by a variable. So there's a lot of numbers and a lot of variables. So it's going to tell us what we want. So we want to multiply 5x minus 7y equals 11. How many variables do we have? 2. How many coefficients do we have? 2. So the coefficient of x is -5. What is the coefficient of x right now?
5,
How do we get from 5 to negative 5?
-1.
Multiply, add, subtract.
Oh, multiply.
Multiply by negative 1. We're going to multiply the whole thing by negative 1.
Do we solve it?
Solve it. Go ahead.
Like the whole, okay.
We're probably not used to seeing the equal sign included. Just remember to keep that equal sign there when we rewrite. When you write. Do you know what you're doing first? Do you remember what this property is called? Like whatever we see parentheses or brackets? It's called distributive. So you have to distribute the negative 1 to each of the components. So it's negative 1 times 5x. You have a late pass, maybe? Thank you. Who could tell Jameer what method we're doing today instead of substitution? What's the method called?
Elimination.
Elimination. Who? I'll be there in a second. So it's negative 1 times 5. Say 1 times 7 and negative 1. Yeah. It's where we get here. All right, what's negative 1 times 5x, everybody? Negative 5x. Kate, what is negative 1 times negative 7y? A negative times a negative is a? And Esther, what is negative 1 times 11? Negative 11. Beautiful. So we have a few more practice problems. The second one is multiply the equation so that the coefficient of y is negative 8. What is the coefficient of y? Positive or negative?
Oh, positive. Negative.
How do we get from negative 4 to negative 8? Beautiful. Rosemary, okay?
Wait.
What property are we going to use?
It should be probably
Distributive. What's 2 times 10x?
20x. And
Negative 8.
and
What do we forget after the negative 8?
negative 8y.
And then your last step.
Oh, I missed the part. I wasn't on the spot.
What is 2 times 17? And you're good. Yeah, take my pass. All right, I want to point something out that maybe we didn't realize but could help us. What is the coefficient that we wanted in number 1? And what is the coefficient that we had?
5.
What is negative 5 over 5?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Where do we see a negative 1 in question 1?
Outside of our parentheses.
Outside of the parentheses. Now here, what did we want in number 2? What is the coefficient that we wanted?
-8.
And what did we have?
-4.
What is -8 divided by -4?
2.
2. And where do we see that 2?
Outside of the parentheses.
Oh, so that we just checked it?
You just checked it. So now let's do the opposite. Let's start with that. What is the coefficient that we want?
3.
And what is the coefficient that we have?
2.
2.
Beautiful. You just made a problem that took you probably 2 minutes into one that'll take you 1. I do. Okay. You know what you're doing? So do you know what a coefficient is?
So,
It's the number attached to the variable. And here the coefficient is. And here the coefficient is. If we want to write 3 over 2 in our calculator, and we don't love putting in fractions because we know we have to put parentheses every time, what is 3 over 2 equal to?
1.5.
1.5.
How do you know that?
So I literally just calculated.
If you put in your calculator 3 divided by 2.
You didn't know
I
that?
never knew that.
I love that realization. Now you'll never forget it, right? So if you want to know
I
what
can do that with any fraction?
any fraction. Fractions are basically division.
I thought they taught you this in 7th grade.
That's alright. Sometimes we forget.
I forgot. Like, my 7th grade teacher never really teach me that.
My 7th grade teacher yelled at us if we got something wrong. So did my science teacher. She also told us we wasn't going to be that in the future.
Well, don't listen to that at all. Alright, what is 1.5 times 2?
5. Wait, 3. I got 3. 3x.
Thank you.
I keep forgetting the variable.
What is 3 over 2 times 3y? Yeah,
4.5.
beautiful.
That is cheating.
Say it with confidence.
4
And what is 12 times 1.5? 18.
Now we got to solve it.
Nope, you're done.
Oh, we just said, just leave it as an
Just
expression.
leave it.
Alright.
Alright, let's set up the last one, but not
Oh,
solve it.
I was confused.
What happened?
Because on the last one, it said to like, I thought it said coefficient of x, and then I looked, it was already 3x.
Oh.
Yeah,
So what would it be? What would the scale factor be if we want a coefficient of 3x and it's already 3?
1?
Beautiful. Alright. Our last problem, we're going to set it up. On your papers, I want you to write what the scale factor is going to be. Remember what we did before as a fraction? Or if you want to think about it logically, you could also do it that way. So before, we took what we want over what was given. That's why we have to take it 5 over 5.
Because it's every time.
Over -4. Here,
So,
y is 3, so what do we have? What do we want? 1.
I like
And what's
something.
given?
Stuff also just.
Positive or negative?
Gums in your mouth.
The 3 over
You
negative.
want a gum in your mouth.
Got them.
Talking about math.
So all I gotta do is plug it in.
All you gotta do is write it out.
What's once over given?
It's a good question. It's the coefficient we want
Oh,
versus the coefficient we're given.
so like rise over run.
That's one way to think about it. Amazing, what'd you do? So what do we want? That's alright. It might be helpful on the side of your paper to write want over given.
I
So we
got
don't
it.
put-
I got it. Well, not yet, but I got it.
What is your want?
3.
What is your given?
-6.
Beautiful.
It's -6.
That's all you gotta write. Are we doing -6 or +6?
+6.
Beautiful.
I get it.
If you need the practice of solving, please do it. As long as you got the want over the given, you're good. So what do we want? What do you want the coefficient to be? What is it? So this is whatever we want. Whatever's the last part. So what is it that we want? What the coefficient is? 3. Well, when we have the coefficient now, what's in front of this y? Positive or negative? Negative. So what we're doing is we're putting what we want, what she said was
What is that?
3 over what is given, which is, there you go. How do you get? Yes, is this positive or negative? What's in front of us?
Where?
There you go. And what's in front of you? Positive. So is it positive or minus?
Her end up with Billie Eilish. She started losing hair because she was dying it so much.
From red to green,
Yeah, so instead of 0.5,
from
so.
Blonde,
to blonde, to black.
like blue or something, I don't even know.
So we have what we want over what's given. Great.
Shit, I think he's fried. Shit, I think he's fried.
Negative, so what does this have to be? Negative. I did. Beautiful. You got it. All right. We're going to do a lot more practice of this, but as long as you know how to find the scale factors, I think we're good. All right. Flip your page. I want to go through the example before we go through the steps. I think sometimes it's helpful for this class especially to look at what we're doing and why we're doing it instead of what I need to do. So when you come back to this page later on when you're doing your homework and you need the steps to help you, it'll be there. So let's work through it before that. On the top, the 2 things that are labeled are our equations. How many equations do we have?
2,
How many variables do we have?
2.
2. So how many things are we solving for? X and?
Why?
Beautiful.
Oh,
So the same exact thing that we've been doing, they did as well. So they decided, I want to cancel out the y's. So we have a negative 2y. In order to get 0y, how much do we need to add to it? How do we go from negative 2 to 0 is? 2. So that's what they did. They multiplied it so that our y is now 2y, and it could cancel out. Now we have x and 4x. What is 1 plus 4? 5.
5x.
5x. Beautiful. And then 8 plus 10. 18. Remember in elementary school when you were doing 13 plus 16 and you do it in rows?
Yeah, I still do
That's
that.
exactly what we're doing. That's okay. That's great.
The other way
6
seems
plus
harder
3
now.
is 9, but if it's another one, you put the 1 on top of
Love it,
yeah.
number.
So then we have 5x equals to 18. How does the example show how to get x? What do they do to both sides?
Divide it
By.
5.
Beautiful. So now we have x equals to 18 over 5. What are we going to do with it? Very similar to what we did in substitution. We have a value for x, so we're going to plug it in. Beautiful. They plugged it in, and they solved for y. And that's how they got the answers. Why am I not happy with this example's answer?
Because
And fraction.
it's not broken down fully.
Oh.
I'm happy with fractions. I know sometimes they're more difficult, but how are we supposed to be seeing the answer?
As an ordered pair.
As an ordered pair, what would the ordered pair look like?
Oh, we gotta get it to a decimal.
No, you can leave it as a fraction.
18.
Yeah.
10,
18 over
18 over 5.
Or 3.6.
Comma. or 3.6. Beautiful. Write this next to your answer. Me and the regents want to see this answer, not just what x equals, not just what y equals.
But you grade the regents? What's the mean?
I don't grade your regents.
Who's dying?
Sounds like somebody getting chased on
All right. And what is this called again?
the ordered pair.
Ordered pair. Jameer, what is this called? Ordered pair. Beautiful. All right, we're going to do the next problem together, and then you're going to practice on your own. I know mine doesn't have lines and yours does. Fill it up. up as best you can. You don't need it to be perfectly aligned with the steps. So how many equations do we have? 2. So just like we do in elementary school, we're going to line them up. We're going to have 2x plus y equals 7 and x minus 2y equals 6. I want to cancel out a variable. Can I do that right now?
No.
No, we don't have any inverse coefficients. We don't have any -2 and +2 or -7 and +7. So let's choose x for now since it's in the front. How do I change this coefficient so that it becomes the inverse of 2x? How do I get from 2x to its inverse? What is the inverse of 2x, first of all?
Negative subtraction.
Negative 2x. So how do I get to it? Multiply by.
1.
We have an x and we want it to be negative 2x.
Five, 2.
Multiply by
Negative
positive or
two.
negative. There you go. So we're going to multiply this whole thing by negative 2. Just like we were doing before. Yeah, I think it's you.
Wait, do we do it in the same one?
Double 2 and 1 week.
Same one. I don't know.
Thank you.
Do we do it in a different?
But it's also shared to you if you need a copy.
Yes,
It's already. Okay, this one wants to speak to you for a second. All right, what's negative 2 times x?
Where do we put it? Do we put it in the like?
Wherever you want. Negative 2 times x is?
Yeah, how's there a box bigger than those?
I just have one huge box. Negative 2 times x is? I'm gonna erase this. Because I'm gonna rewrite this.
Negative.
Negative 2x. What is negative 2 times negative 2y? Yeah, say it.
4y.
Beautiful. And what is 6 times negative 2?
Negative 12.
Negative 12. Now, we're drawing a line underneath just like we do when we're adding 15 and 13.
No, 16.
What is 2x minus 2x? It cancels out. What's 1y plus 4y?
5, 1. Positive.
Beautiful. And what is 7 minus 12?
5.
Positive or negative?
Negative 5.
Beautiful. Now how do I get rid of that 5 that's in front of the y?
Divide.
By.
5.
5.
What is negative 5 divided by 5?
1.
Positive or negative?
Positive. No, negative.
Beautiful. So the negative divided by positive is a
Negative.
negative.
Wait, so positive divided by a negative is a positive?
Is also a negative. If there's different signs, it's negative. Same sign's positive.
Okay.
Good question. All right, so I have what y equals to. Am I done?
No.
What do I need to solve for? Esther, what do I need to solve for now? Beautiful. X. So let's see. Fatima, do we like 1 or 2? Which equation do you like better? 1. So we're going to plug in negative 1 for y. We have 2x minus 1 equals 7. Do we see why I did it and how I did it? Yeah? You want me to repeat it? So what we did before is we solved for y, right? You got that?
Oh, now we're solving for x.
Now we're solving for x by replacing something with y. Because we know what the value for y is. So instead of writing y, we're writing negative 1. So you kind of are substituting also. We're doing more of elimination than substitution. How do we get the 1 onto the other side if it's being subtracted, Kate? What's the opposite of subtraction?
Oh,
Add. What is 7 plus 1?
8.
How How do I get rid of the 2 that's in front of the x, Fatima? Divide. What is 8 divided by 2? 4. Why am I unhappy with this answer?
Because it's not ordered.
It's not an ordered pair. What's the ordered pair?
Negative.
What goes first, x or y?
X.
X. What's x equal to?
4.
4. What's y equal to?
-1.
Amazing. Do you have any questions about this so far? No, it's last time. Sorry. All right. Once you're done writing that, on the bottom of the page is practice problems. What I want you to do is, let's just do this. What number do we need to change x to in order to make it an inverse? What's in front of x?
A negative.
A negative 2. What's the inverse of negative 2? Positive 2. So we gotta multiply 2 by x plus 4y equals 2. You're gonna complete this one, and then your exit ticket will be the other question. And on a scale from 1 to 5, how good do you feel about this? 1, I don't feel good about it at all. 5, I feel great about it. Sounds good?